Alright, welcome back and thanks for tuning in again. So today we're actually going to work on a small engine. This is a 1947 Briggs and Stratton Model A. I picked it up, it was for sale not 5 miles from the house here. It was on a farm and it's apparently been sitting in a barn for the last 30 or 40 years and it looks like it. But apparently it's been on that farm its entire life. So we're going to take a look at it, see if we can get it running, and if we can get it running, I want to actually see what kind of horsepower this thing has left in it. These engines were rated at between 1 and 1 3/4 horsepower when they were new. So I want to see how many horses are left in this little thing. Let's start off by taking a walk around this old Briggs engine. Briggs made the Model A from, I believe, 1933 to 1948. So that's a 15-year production run, which is pretty good. Got our fuel sediment bowl there. The bottom of the tank looks okay. I don't see any obvious rust. Feels fairly solid. You can see it's packed with dirt and dust and pretty pitted. Definitely sitting in a damp environment. Got like moss growing on the side of the block here. Yeah, so a 15-year production run. This particular one was built in 47. So it is 74 years old at this point in 2021. And they made so many variations of this engine. I mean, there were some updates over the years. The earlier engines had a different style carburetor. Most of them had an oil pump. This engine does not have an oil pump. I think this is the first year that they did not have an oil pump. I mean, this is pretty late in production. I mean, they had obviously they had different types of output shafts, different means of starting. Some of them were kick start, some of them were lever start, some of them were crank start. This is pretty much the most common or the most basic version of the Model A that you'll see. Let's take a look at the tag here. It's a little bit hard to read, but still legible. There's Model A right there. There's our type number and our serial and the valve clearance specs. I always like the design or the shape of these engines. You know, totally built of cast iron. Just an impressive machine. Even the shroud. The shroud is a cast iron. Yeah, there were even different styles of rope cups for the starting rope. And we got the throttle cable here, which that's pretty much junk. It's rusted solid. I think the inner core is actually broken. The inner core is missing here, as well as the spring, the governor spring. So, plans for this engine, we're going to take it apart, see what the innards look like, measure the cylinder bore, measure the piston, measure the bearings, see if we can clean the carburetor up. Probably going to have to get a little rebuild kit for this carburetor, which they're still available. Probably going to have to lap the valves, maybe cut the seats. It does turn over, which is a big plus. It's a bit tight. I haven't turned it, a full revolution yet, but it does turn. Obviously, we're going to have to check the coil, make sure we can get spark out of it. Hopefully the fuel tank's still good. And really, once we get it cleaned out, I want to put it back together, get it running. And yeah, we're actually going to hook up a Prony brake to the output shaft of this thing and see what it can do. Okay, well, I've changed my plan of attack a little bit here. The first thing I did was pull the carburetor off, just because taking the gas tank off from the mounting bracket was going to be a pain just because of how rusty the hardware is. So I wanted to take the fuel tank off as a unit, which means I had to take the fuel line off, and figured out I might as well just pull the carburetor off first. So carburetor just held on with 2 bolts, and we got the little oil bath air filter and the air intake pipe there. The throttle shaft is actually free on this, as well as the governor lever. The choke is stuck, but that's okay. This is all going to have to get taken apart and cleaned anyway. So I'm just going to leave the camera rolling while continue on with the teardown. I've soaked a lot of the hardware down with some Croil to help disassembly. So we'll go ahead and see if we can pull the spark plug out. And I'm going to cheat and go right to using an impact first at its lowest setting, and we'll see if we can bump that nut off of there. This one is a normal thread, you know, righty tighty lefty loosey. Starting to move. The threads look like they're in fine shape. Okay. So we got some screws up here and nuts down at the bottom, or bolts down at the bottom. And for the screws, I'm going to bypass using a normal screwdriver. Just clean the slots out. And we're going to go right for the impact screwdriver. Okay, let's get back to it. Make sure it's turning in the correct direction here. Come out now. Oh yeah, look at that. No worries. Oh, look at that. All kinds of good stuff in there. Okay. I'm curious what the inside of this tank looks like. Now, I thought the gas cap was stuck on there. Let's see what it is. Oh, no, okay. Looks like the Croil loosened that up too. Yeah, kind of. Oh my God, it's pristine. You gotta be kidding me. How can that be? Look at that. It's pristine in there. Wow. That's crazy. Oh man, that just made my day. I can't believe that. This engine must be new old stock. Obviously not. Wow, that's crazy. Look at the chain's not even rusty. That just made my day. Alright, so it's coming apart. Let's pop the cylinder head off. Oh, I just dumped a whole bunch of rust down the cylinder. Ooh, got some carbon buildup there, I would say. Look at that. Big flakes of it. Big flakes of carbon. I've never had a flywheel fight me this bad coming off. Well, I guess the only thing to do now is just soak it and be patient. Well, it's a day later, and I did manage to get the flywheel off. Sorry I wasn't able to capture it on film, but it ended up I needed to use the puller and a 4-pound hammer on the end of the puller to shock that taper and get that off of there. So that's what the inside of the flywheel looks like. Got a lot of packed in dirt around the rim, but that's normal. Clearly this thing was operating in a very, very dusty environment. A lot of fine particulate flying around. So there's the Magneto. Yeah, that flywheel definitely needed to come off. So, man, let's take a look at that. Just for curiosity's sake. Okay. Whew, man, I don't even know if I can find a decent ground here. Get a little screwdriver and try to find some bare metal here. go between the Magneto backing plate, and I can see some bare copper here. $1.7K. That's really low. That is very low. I was expecting something in the neighborhood of 4,000 to 5,000 K. 4,000 to 5,000 ohms. Yeah, that's pretty low. I wonder, well, I would imagine we've got some shorted turns in the secondary there, which, who knows, it might still spark, but we might be in the market for a replacement coil, or we might just rewind that one. So let's go ahead and pull the whole Magneto assembly off. We gotta get this pulley off of here. So I was looking at this pulley earlier, and I think it might have to come off of that crankshaft in a destructive manner, because it's like a taper lock type pulley. You can see what's left of the key there, some extreme pitting. So we got a hex on this side, and we've got a hex on this side. And you see this bushing, a split bushing here. It's got a slit there, and there's appears to be a drilled hole above the key there. So it looks like the two halves of the pulley thread together to pinch that bushing, and I don't think that's going to come off easily. Well, managed to get the pulley off the crankshaft. Got a nice clean spot there right in the center where it's not all pitted. So, looks pretty good. Gotta get that key out of there yet. Here's the pulley. It's interesting. It's just a stamped sheet metal shiv. And then the hub, split hub. Looking at them threads. See, it wasn't going to be fun trying to get that off of there. So, hopefully it's no great loss to the vintage pulley world. So, let's move on. Well, let's see what we got in the crankcase here. Oh, water. Excellent. Not too much water, just a little bit. Some pretty thick oil there. Alright, let's get this base separated off of here. Looking okay. We got the governor there. Here's the oil dipper. Yeah. All right. Let's take the connecting rod bolts. Let's see about taking the connecting rod and piston out. Got to bend over these locking tabs. Looks like this has been all been done before, because you can see there, maybe you can't, where that tab's been bent over once in the past. lot of wear. Yep, got some scoring in there and some burnt oil residue. Yeah, there's a deep score right there. Oh well, we're gonna see if it runs. It'll run. I'll slide the crankshaft out now. Okay, let's try that again. Yep, slides right out. Use this extra dirty rag here. Yep. Focused on that. Whew, that's pretty rough. Wow. Yep, this engine did a lot of work in its life. Now let's see about pulling these valves out. Nope, just pressed in there. Okay. Yeah, fed it in there. This screen is spot welded, so we'll have to just soak this and flush that check valve out. It's pressed right in the block there. The only other thing that I forgot about is there's a small little disc type check valve right in here, which allows the oil to drain, the oil from the Magneto side bearing to drain back into the block. That little casting boss down there, because there's no real seal here. Well, I shouldn't say that. That is technically a lip seal, I believe. Right? Yeah, it's a crusty lip seal. So this gap from the bearing, the bushing between the seal, any oil that collects there, it allows that to drain back into the crankcase, but prevents crankcase pressure from kind of blowing out the seal itself. Man, I got stuff all over this bench. Alright, so that's what, ½ inch. Should be able to just thread that right out. So, I'm going to throw all of the parts in the parts washer, get them all cleaned out, and we'll come back and we'll start doing our measurements to see how much wear this engine has sustained.